You are listening to Unscripted Moments, a podcast about propaganda. On this episode, I am discussing Apparently I'm a PC Fascist because I care about both human and non-human animals. Track 1 from Less Talk, More Rock. This is our second episode on this tune, and you can go back and find the earlier one down in the catalog. My guest in this episode is Nils Fischer, drummer for the band Between Bodies. Maybe you haven't heard Between Bodies, but they are awesome, and they sound like this. Their new record is called Electric Sleep, and it is lovely. But Nils is also a massive propaganda fan. A while back, I noticed on his band's Instagram page that they said that Nils listens to propaganda every day. I emailed the band account, and they put us in touch. Then Nils sent me a great acoustic cover he made of Apparently I'm a PC Fascist. I totally loved it, and I invited him on the podcast to chat about it. So I hope you love it. Let's hear the cover first, and then we'll get into my chat with Nils. Thank you so much for listening.
Some of my otherwise brilliant, productive friends, scoundrels and Affleck take final refuge in character assassinations. Deny the issue, ignore the relation between consumption and you can roll your eyes and marginalize me. Play on insecurities and you can feign ignorance. But you're not stupid, you're just selfish and a slave to impulse. And I kinda thought we all shared common threats, and that we gravitated here to challenge conventions we've been fed. A culture that treats creatures like machines. And if you buy that shit, then how long till it's me who serves as your commodity through institutionalized violence and oppression of workers, women raped by sexism, and do you still insist on feigning indignance to reason, collective self-interest? I call you on your shit, please call me on mine. Then we can grow together, make this shithole planet better in time.
Consider someone else. Stop consuming animals.
Nils Fischer, welcome to Unscripted Moments, a podcast about propaganda.
Hello. Thanks for having me. This is so great. I was telling you before, I'm a huge fan. I'm actually a long-time listener, and it's great to finally put a face to the voice.
Yes, here I am, and welcome to my house. It's great to have you here, Nils. I love connecting with listeners of the show because it's slightly different than connecting with people like in super well-known bands or whatever, because most of the people that we have on the show aren't listeners. So one of my favorite things to do is get listeners on the show as guests because, you know, it's something, it's like a community that we've tried to do here. And so it's awesome to have you who has listened to it come on as a guest. So I just wanted to point that out, that I am delighted that you're here. I'm wondering if you can just spend a second and, you know, tell the guests, tell the listeners out there a little bit about who you are, what you do, what bands you're in, all kinds of stuff. Tell us about you.
Sure. My name is Nils Fischer. I'm from a small city in Germany called Paderborn. I am a teacher. I teach German and English to students from age, I don't know, 10 to 18, 19, probably at a German
Awesome.
comprehensive school. Yeah. Yeah, it's great, but it's also, has its difficulties at times. And I play the drums in a band called Between Bodies, and I also sing in a band called A Time to Stand. And I'm a huge Propaganda fan.
Wonderful. Well, as you know, Keith and I are both teachers, and we are very pro teacher here on the podcast. So it's great to connect with another teacher as well. How did you get into playing music, being in bands, stuff like that? Give me a little bit about some info on that.
Well, it's pretty much the usual story. I was introduced to music by my parents, by my dad in particular. He introduced me to, like, I don't know, Jimi Hendrix, Led Zeppelin, that kind of stuff. And from there, I moved on. I this moment when you sit in front of the TV and Basket Case comes on for the first time in your life, and you're like, that's kind of music. You can do that, actually.
Yeah, vivid. I vividly remember exactly that video.
The same here, yeah. And from then on, I was hooked. And I started playing the drums at age 7, I want to say. I don't remember correctly.
Cool.
But I was into the drums at a very early age. And I could finally, talk my parents into getting me my own drum kit and having lessons and stuff. Yeah, and music is something that has always been with me and I was always interested in. And I still do it whenever I have the time.
I love that you mention Basket Case, because the visions that I have of Trey Cool in the Basket Case video are some of my most vivid childhood memories of watching television and seeing Trey Cool in that video, and just it stands out to me so important,
And that video is so disturbing, actually, for like a 10-year-old in 1994.
Yeah, absolutely. How did you get into Propaganda? Where did they kind of enter your musical awareness?
Oh, you want to hold on to something, probably, because that's a very interesting story. No, I'm kidding. I got into Propaganda by listening to a comp, the first Fat Wreck comp. I think it was Fat Music for Fat People. A friend of mine actually was on vacation visiting family in the United States, and he brought back to Germany 3 records, and one was a Punkorama, I want to say. And then the other one was Fat Music for Fat People. And then the last one was Animal of the States by Blink-182. And that also was a pivotal moment in, my musical socialization. Can you say that?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. Yeah. So I know you said earlier that you have seen Propaganda live. I'm curious about your experiences of seeing them, where in the world you've seen them since you live in Germany. I'm wondering, kind of tell me a little bit of the story of tracking them down and seeing them live.
Well, I have only seen them relatively late in their career. So the first time was probably 2010. I don't recall exactly, but I've seen them twice in Bochum, twice in Cologne at least. And there were probably a couple of other times that I've seen them live, and they always kicked ass. Like, they were super tight. The shows that I saw in Bochum, they seem to be a little bit cranky. I don't know, for whatever reason. It was the when they had Intellectual with them on that tour.
Oh, great.
Yeah, and I actually got in contact with the podcast that Chris had going on at the time, the what's the name of that
Escape Velocity?
thing? Exactly, yeah, the Escape Velocity podcast, because when I was at a show in Bochum, I noticed that the promoter had put corporate sponsors on the ticket. And I was like, wait, that doesn't make sense. A Propaganda show, and there's like Monster Energy on the ticket. I'm going to inquire about this. And so I shot an email to the podcast, and they actually read it out and answered some of my questions. So yeah, that's something that's like an interesting memory that I have with them.
Dude,
as far as seeing them live goes.
That rocks. We actually, I think it was maybe the first bonus episode we ever did on this show, is I interviewed Katrin from their European booking company. So if you go,
that's right, yeah.
If you go way back in the podcast episodes, you can listen to me talking to their European booking agent. And she was telling me all about how difficult it is to book a band that requires no corporate presence of any way, like certain festivals they won't play, like certain types of venues they won't play, etc. And it's just such a fascinating story to hear how you had that experience and then how that kind of connects back to that early bonus episode. I love stuff like that when little strings tie together in the show, you know?
Yeah. And apparently it turned out that the promoter had just put the thing on without telling the band, and they only found out after the fact, and they were pretty pissed about it.
Yeah, maybe that explains the crankiness a little bit. I wonder.
Probably, yeah.
So did you see the Beeve era and the Sulin era?
Yep.
Awesome.
I've seen the two of them.
Awesome. And was there any, distinct thoughts that you had separating those two eras, or was it just kind of all like, this is just great anyway?
No, it was the only difference was in the set list that they played. But other than that, there were no real differences, at least not to my ears and eyes. That I can
Wonderful.
think of. They're both awesome players. So
yeah. Well, okay. So I saw your band's Instagram post recently about how you listen to Victory Lap basically every day, if not every day.
Right. Yeah.
And, that really stuck out to me. And so I reached out to your band and I was like, hey, does Nils just want to come on the show? And then you actually replied and you're like, yeah, I actually sent you a cover a long time ago, which I completely missed somehow. But I just love that we've been able to reconnect because of an Instagram post about loving Victory Lap. So I'm wondering if you can just discuss your adoration of Victory Lap in as much depth as you would like, because I'm always curious to hear why people connect with certain things the way they do.
I don't know. There's not that much to say about this. To me, it's just a near perfect record. It's probably my favorite record of all times.
Oh, interesting.
That's why I still listen to it. It's the perfect mix or blend of early and, the more recent Propaganda, I think.
Mm-hmm.
You still get the poppy bouncy tracks like
Call Before You Dig.
Exactly, or Crawl Before You Dig.
Yeah.
And then you also get the more metal influenced stuff and the more tricky rhythms in When All Your Fears Collide, for example.
Yeah.
So to me, it's just the perfect mix of all that Propaganda is to me.
Yeah. And I'm thinking about Cop Just Out of Frame too, and how it has that little metally interim between the verses. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's so cool. Do you have a couple of favorite tracks off Victory Lap that are just kind of up there as being super special for you?
Well, when All Your Fears Collide is probably one of my favorites. Adventures in Zoochosis, Failed Imagineer, I like very much. I was kind of disappointed that you, I think, only rated it 3 or 4 out of 5.
I'm so sorry.
It's no problem. Because that's also one of the first songs that they released before the album came out. And when I heard that track, I was like, wow, this is fantastic.
Yeah. When I was thinking about how I was listening to Victory Lap yesterday in the car, and the way the guitar verse has an extra strum on the end of one of the times through the riff. Whenever Tim from Protest the Hero and I were talking about that guitar riff a long time ago when we were prepping for that episode, and that is such a special riff because of the way that it almost goes out of alignment with the drums and then connects with it again. And yeah. I just love that there's these little special moments in these songs that most bands could not pull off, but then this band seems to be able to do so seamlessly, even though I know they rehearse to death and demo and work super hard on the songs. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. And with Victory Lap, I was kind of taken aback at first, I want to say, with the song Victory Lap, because, it starts with the intro riff and then the drums kick in. And do you get this feeling sometimes that you're like, I wish this song continues in a certain way, and then it doesn't? So I wish they switched the chord progression a bit for the second time around when the riff goes on for the second time around, which they don't, but it's still a great song.
I know. And it's really interesting that they don't too, because you completely would expect that band to go, because they have more movements instead of verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, out kind of thing. they have like sections of songs instead of like a traditional structure. So the fact that Victory Lap is kind of more of a traditionally structured song kind of throws you for a loop and surprises you a little bit. And that's what it did for me too, because I was like, this is shockingly straightforward in a way that I was not expecting. So because it was so unexpected, I like it so much.
Yes, exactly. That's a good way of putting it, actually.
Yeah. Okay. So, what do you think about In Flagrante Delicto? The other day I was thinking, is this my favorite song on Victory Lap? And since we're talking about Victory Lap, I just can't believe how interesting that song is as well. And I've been really inspired to do an episode about it in the future. And I'm just curious if you had any In Flagrante thoughts while I was just picking your brain on this record.
Well, that is probably one of my lesser favorite tracks, I must say.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
that's fascinating.
I don't have any real insight into that song, no.
Okay, what I'm going to do is when I make that episode, I am going to call you out on that episode and I'm going to try to persuade you of its awesomeness, but I'm going to have to really go hard on the preparation for that episode now.
Right on.
Okay, so Nils, I want to talk about the cover that you submitted for the podcast. It is Apparently I'm a PC Fascist, track 1 from 1996's Less Talk, More Rock. And at the very beginning of this conversation, folks have already heard that song at the beginning of the episode. So I want to get a little bit of a backstory from you on this. Why did you choose to do this cover of Apparently I'm a PC Fascist? How did this story begin for you?
Well, this song I've recorded, I was looking at the file info earlier and it says it was recorded in 2014. So this is almost 10 years by now.
Crazy.
So back then I was doing these acoustic covers. I was still in my studies and had a lot of, spare time. And I used that spare time to record acoustic covers of songs that I liked, which I just did for myself, which may sound a little narcissistic, but I just, whenever I do these and just do them for myself and listen to them, listen to the vocal harmonies, it's just something that I get a kick out of. And I chose that track in particular because I just thought it would translate well to an acoustic version. Because sometimes when you do an acoustic version of a song, you need the original as a reference point for it to work. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
And with that song, I figured that would translate well into an acoustic song on its own. And so that's probably the prime reason why I chose that one. And also I like this song. I like the lyrics. I like the chord progression. It has a straight beat, so that means it works well as an acoustic track, which, is not the case with all Propagandhi songs. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Did you do more acoustic songs? Like, do you remember some of the songs that you were recording during that era? Does anything else jump out at you as being a particularly memorable song that you made a cover of back then?
I was trying to do a version of what's that song? Resisting Tyrannical Government.
Oh, cool.
But that one I shelved because it didn't work. And then I think I did a piano cover of oh my God, I'm so sorry. What's that John Samson song?
Anchorless?
Anchorless.
Yeah, cool.
Here to tell me that you're finally dying. Yeah. So yeah, I did that too, but I lost that for some reason.
Oh, interesting. That's a bummer. If it ever reemerges in the files, definitely get in touch with me as soon as you possibly can. So what did you enjoy particularly about making this particular cover? Like, kind of like looking back on it, like what strikes you as being fun about it for you?
I like the vocal line. I like the vocal melody a lot. I like the lyrics a lot. And this was the first time I tried to experiment with virtual instruments. So the drums that you hear on the track, they're not real drums. I programmed
interesting.
them. And as for the bass, I'm not really sure if that's a real bass or if I also programmed that. So that was the most interesting thing for me to play around with, like virtual instruments and stuff, and also doing the vocal harmonies. So yeah.
I love the fact that there aren't drums on the entire song. Did you play around with multiple versions where there's drums all the way through, or did you just leave it in part of the song on like in the original draft? Like, I'm curious, like, why not the whole song and why just part of it with drums?
Well, I figured that it would be interesting for anyone listening, if anyone would ever listen to this, to kind of hear the drums only later in the song as to kind of surprise them.
Yeah. It definitely kind of like grabbed my attention and kind of like, reframed my attention on the song. Does that make sense? Like it brought me, I was like listening to it and enjoying it. And then I kind of like surprised and then I really liked it. So I think that you actually were pretty effective in that regard. What about vocals? Do you remember like were the vocals challenging? How many vocal takes did you do? Or are we listening to multi-tracked vocals or is it just one vocal until you hear the obvious backups in there?
I might have sung the entire thing in one shot, actually. I don't recall because it's such a long time ago.
Yeah.
But I think it's in a different key so that it's easier for me to sing. I did that a lot back then because, most of the songs I did play were not in my vocal range. So, yeah.
Nice. I noticed that there's like an AI sort of programmed robot voice at the very end. Tell me a little bit about that. Consider someone else stop consuming animals AI voice.
I was actually thinking about doing a version of Nailing Descartes also, and so put those two back to back.
Oh,
and
cool.
I didn't want to do it myself because I have an accent and I'm very much aware of that, so I felt kind of awkward. So I figured it would be fun to just use like an AI computer voice to do that.
Awesome. I loved it because I laughed really hard when I heard it and I was like, okay, this is brilliant. So I loved the AI voice. And what's really funny too? Like, since you have this track and since you have that AI voice, like connector to the next thing, if you ever wanted to do the second part of the song with Nailing Descartes, you totally could. Like if they were 10 years apart recorded, who cares? So honestly, you kind of have set yourself up here where I'm going to bully you into making part two.
Oh my God.
And just go for it, man. Just go for it. You're in your music room right now. I know you can pull it off.
That's so much pressure, my friend.
I know. I'm so sorry. So, I'm curious about the lyrics here. We've got a very specific song lyrically. There's, Chris's experiences in this song of watching his friends do certain things while he's making certain choices with his life. I'm wondering just any connection that you may have to the lyrics that you felt like sharing.
Sure. Since you have already done at least one episode on the song, I don't want to reiterate what other people have said already, but I guess suffice it to say that I feel the same way. Like I have friends that are otherwise productive and brilliant, but sometimes their choices that they make in life are head scratchers to me. And it's just little things like, I don't know, when we get together for a barbecue, Germans are all about their bratwurst. And I still don't know why people do that, why you still would feel the urge to put a bratwurst on your barbecue, for example, when there is like perfect alternatives to that. And then at the same time, I know to some people that I love and respect, I am that otherwise brilliant and productive friend because, I'm sometimes inconsistent in the things that I do. Like I'm a vegetarian for close to 20 years now, but every now and again, I will have a pizza. I will have a piece of chocolate. And I know that to other people is also mind-boggling. And if you expand that theme that is going on in that song, like I don't know if you've heard about Lützerath.
I haven't.
Small village here in Germany, and they are turning that into what's the term? An open day excavation.
Oh, cool.
Does that make sense? And they trying to get the coal out of the ground,
Yeah.
and they have evacuated the village, and everybody had to leave. And there was a huge protest there, and people were squatting in the buildings. And they were trying the excavator from destroying that village, actually. And while that was going on, it's just a week ago. You can probably, if you look it up on the internet, you will probably find news coverage of that. And I was thinking, why am I here and why am I not there protesting that energy corporation, for destroying that village just for profit, just for getting that coal out of the ground. And then you make excuses for yourself. I work a lot, I work hard, and at the end of the day, I need my leisure time.
Yep.
But yeah, I am a slave to impulse, and I'm selfish sometimes. So you can turn this on its head, and you can see yourself in that sometimes, I think.
Yeah, to me, that's one of like the main purposes of a song like this, is to recognize your own inconsistencies and set yourself goals that are, long term, for the betterment of more than just you, but also for you, and make it so that it's achievable and incremental, so that you actually feel like you are moving towards your goals, instead of setting yourself something that's like not sustainable in the short term. When you mentioned things are very overwhelming, being a grown up in the world today is fraught with challenges.
Oh man,
and
it's so hard.
If you set yourself these humongous, lofty goals, the short term is going to beat you down so hard that you'll be just as far away from those long-term goals as ever at the end of a really hard work week,
Yeah, that's right. And also the very last lines, I call you on your shit, please call me on mine. I think the guitarist from RX Bandits has mentioned that already, but I love that. I love that they end the song on this note, because, also when you try to, let's say, educate somebody on an alternative lifestyle, quote unquote, you sometimes run the risk of assuming an like holier than thou attitude, if that makes sense. And there's a very fine line, I think, between being a positive role model and moral hauteur, if that makes sense. So it's like telling somebody from your high horse how to behave and what choices to make in life is not really effective and is not really productive. But what you need is discourse, call people out on their shit and have them call you out on yours, get into the conversation and get into the discussion and talk about things.
Absolutely. And I'm thinking about, if you are the kind of person who does call people out, you have to be open to being called out yourself, because if you call somebody out and they actually take your feedback very well and they do some work and then they call you out, and if you react in a defensive, angry manner, then there's an imbalance there, to where you have to be safe to receive those types of feedback on yourself if you're going to give it too. So really, working on yourself to understand and receive feedback in an open way is also a skill that people build over time. So it takes work on all parts to be able to be in friendships and relationships like that, like you're describing.
Definitely. And that's the wonderful thing about this band, Propaganda. I mean, political punk bands are, a dime a dozen, but Propaganda have this way of being, constructive in a very positive way. I mean, sure, some of the lyrics are borderline cynical in their satire, but there's always this positive and constructive undercurrent in all of their lyrics, and all of Chris's lyrics, and in all of Todd's lyrics. And they kind of manage to combine that with like very haunting images, but that stick with you, but you want to do something about it.
Yeah.
Am I making sense?
Oh, absolutely. And I'm thinking about like how a song can be so dark, right? You can have darkness throughout the song. And then at the very end of a song, it's like, but you got to keep on trucking anyway.
Exactly.
And it's like, oh, okay, I get it. So this is a recurring thing that makes them special to me, that makes them stand apart from the other, like you said, dime a dozen bands out there who don't do this thing. They don't encourage you to put the mirror back on yourself in a way that this band does. So I'm with you 100%, and I couldn't agree more. Nils, I'm wondering, since you've been a fan of them for, I guess, 20 years now, man, you said that you got their records, and I think that was about 20 years. What does this band mean to you as a person who kind of cares about art, cares about the world? Kind of where does this band stand for you as sort of a cultural piece for yourself?
Oh, only everything. I mean, the impact that they had on me as a person and a musician, but person first, I guess, cannot be overstated. Period. I mean, the essays in Let's Talk Maroc, like I almost know them by heart. And I'm not a native speaker of English, so it took me quite some time when I got that record to actually translate them, literally translate them, and to make sense of that. Because, the English that I have learned in school is not enough to decode that. A word like marginalize, I don't even know what that means in German.
Right.
I'm kidding.
Yeah.
but you know what I mean.
But when it came out, when you got it for the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So like you're doing that translating for words like that, whenever you were first coming across this stuff, I'm sure it was quite an intellectual exercise.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I think I forget who it was, but somebody has said on the podcast that not only is it an exercise in language, but it's also sometimes a history lesson.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that might have. Yeah,
and it's kind of like an exercise of this human spirit as well, not just an intellectual brain exercise, but it's kind of like an exercise of the spirit within all of us as well. It's kind of a fluffy way of saying it, but you know what I mean? It's like that emotional workout that forces you to really consider ways that you can be a better part of this planet's ecosystem and civilization.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Nils, I have loved chatting with you about this song. Apparently, I'm a PC fascist, and your cover is fantastic. I'm really glad that we can release it, even though it's 9 years old. I mean, I think that it's totally awesome. And I'm wondering if you can just spend a moment and tell folks where they can find your tunes, find your bands, like give us some shout outs for places where people can follow along with what you're up to.
Well, first of all, Greg, thank you so much. This has been such a wonderful opportunity to finally chat with you and to be a part of this thing. This is awesome. I still can't wrap my head around this. You can find my band Between Bodies on all, the usual media outlets. We're on all the streaming services. We have a new LP out since last fall, I think. So Between Bodies, just type that into a search engine of your choice or into a streaming service of your choice. And then my other band, A Time to Stand, just do the same thing. And I personally, I'm not on social media. I don't like social media. But I personally don't have any interesting things to say. So you probably just want to look for my bands.
Awesome. Well, Nils Fischer, the sentiment goes both ways, my friend. I am super delighted that we were able to connect. And like I said, like having folks out there who like the show, but also submit these covers to us. I want everybody to be on the podcast. It's like, this is what it's all about for me. So I assure you that the sentiment is mutual, and I'm super grateful for you for taking the time today. So thank you so much for joining me.
Well, thank you. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
My culture's battery creatures like machines. And if you buy that shit, then how long till it's me who serves as your commodity? Through institutionalized violence and oppression of workers, women raped by sexism, and do you still insist on feigning indignant to reason, collective self-interest? I'll call you on your shit, please call me on mine. Yeah, then we can grow together, make this shit whole planet better in time. Consider someone else.